This is CBN NewsWatch.
It is Tuesday, the first day of December. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, hope on the horizon with encouraging news about coronavirus vaccines, even as officials are warning of a post-Thanksgiving surge in cases. We're going to speak with our medical reporter, Lori Johnson. Many churches are closed because of COVID lockdowns at a time just when many people need them most. We're going to show you how ministries are finding ways to reach out to their communities. A new hate speech law in Norway outlawing hate speech against transgendered people, including remarks even in private conversations. And the Pilgrims brought more than Thanksgiving to America. We're going to show you how they also helped to shape our very system of government. All those stories and more are ahead in today's edition of CBN NewsWatch. I want to begin this half hour with that encouraging news on the coronavirus vaccine front. The first batch of Pfizer's vaccine is now in the United States awaiting approval. Moderna is now asking for emergency authorization. This all comes as the CDC meets today to decide who gets the vaccine first. Jenna Browder brings us the story now. She's in Washington.
From production in Belgium to a storage facility in Michigan, Pfizer is getting ready to distribute its vaccine as soon as it gets the go-ahead, and that could be in just a matter of days. This as Moderna also seeks FDA emergency authorization.
I say that by January, we'll have 40 million doses to distribute across the country.
All eyes are on the FDA, which could give Pfizer the green light for emergency use after December 10th, and Moderna after a hearing on December 17th.
We've been clear about the fact we're not going to cut corners, and the authorization process, although expedited, has very similar criteria to what we would use for the regular approval of a vaccine.
Right. Moderna reporting some impressive numbers with its vaccine, 94% effective and 100% effective against extreme cases.
This is something that can be trusted and will be safe for them and their families and can save potentially hundreds of thousands of lives.
Healthcare workers and other first responders could be the first to get the drug, but there's not enough for all of them. Today, a panel at the CDC will meet to vote on recommendations for who should get immunized first. But states will make the final decision. And for the rest of the nation, look to June.
100% of Americans that want the vaccine will have had the vaccine by that point in time.
All of this good news on vaccines comes as case numbers across the country continue to rise. Right now, 96,000 hospitalizations, that number nearly doubling since November 1st. And health officials warn of a possible post-Thanksgiving spike. In Washington, Jenna Browder, CBN News.
Jenna, thank you. Medical reporter Lori Johnson joins us now. So we heard talk of June. How long until vaccines are available to everyone?
So June is sort of like the longest out that it'll be. And so a lot of people are saying by May, maybe a little bit earlier, people will have access to vaccines. We know that there are probably going to be 2, Pfizer and Moderna, but there are a lot of other ones in the pipeline. So we know Pfizer and Moderna say they can produce about enough for about 25 million people every month. And so when you think about there are 330 Americans, right now it looks like about 58% of all Americans say they want to take the vaccine, but that number will likely increase. It's already gone up 8%. And so when we see these frontline healthcare workers and all these millions of other people get the vaccine and do well, it's likely more people will want to take the vaccine. So a lot of experts are saying herd immunity by May, which means about 70% of the population will be immune. There are 2 ways to get immunity, Ephraim. One is from having the virus and recovering from it. That now makes up about 10 to 15% of the population. Wow. And then the other way, of course, is to get a vaccine. So if you add those 2 together, it's about 70%. 58% of people say they want the vaccine, and 10 to 15% of the people have already recovered from the virus.
Okay. Now, are there concerns, though, in terms of side effects from getting the vaccine?
There are some side effects that are reported, not any long-lasting ones, but we're talking about side effects like pain at the injection site, achiness. Those of us who have had the shingles vaccine know what this is like. For example, I had my shingles vaccine last year, and I was already prepared that this one's going to hurt. And so for about 3 days after that first initial shot, my arm really hurt. And that's concerning because a lot of, just like with the shingles vaccine, the coronavirus vaccine, at least the Moderna and the Pfizer ones, they require 2 shots. And so the concern is people will get that first shot and it will hurt so much that they won't go back and get that second one. So that's the main concern. But as far as any more severe side effects, no. And that's the good news about both of these vaccines.
We know we're just getting off the Thanksgiving holiday. We're now seeing states and cities imposing new restrictions because of the possibility of a surge in cases. Likely?
Very, very likely, because we saw 9 million people travel for Thanksgiving, and that's about half as much as we normally see, but still a very high number. So what we normally see is a week or two after these gatherings, people get sick, another week or two, then they're hospitalized, and then sadly another week or two until we see a lot of these deaths. And so, we really are concerned about hospitalizations, hospitals reaching capacity, but also about hospital personnel not being there. So we all need to do our part to try to keep these hospitalizations and reduce the burden on our healthcare system, flatten the curve. It's been a while since we've uttered that phrase, isn't it?
Absolutely. That was at the start. Now we're approaching Christmas, so let's please, let's do that. You're following something else this week on Healthy Living. Tell us about that.
That's right. So we're taking a break from talking about COVID-19 on Healthy Living, and we're talking about something very serious, and a lot of people have probably never heard of it. It's called alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency. Now, this is a very oftentimes deadly disease, but as you know, probably many people haven't heard of it. And what's most interesting about it is a lot of people who are diagnosed with emphysema are misdiagnosed and actually have the alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency. This is something that can be detected from a DNA test, the 23andMe, the ones that you get over the counter. And when you know that you have the gene for this, you can take precautions against having some serious difficulties with it. So it's a great show.
All right, we look forward to that one. I'll let you know at home that you can catch Healthy Living with Lori Johnson this evening on the CBN News Channel. It begins at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Turn now to election news. As 2 battleground states, Wisconsin and Arizona, have certified their presidential election results, even as President Donald Trump's legal team continues its challenges. And here's that story that shows that every vote counts. Officials in Iowa have certified a Republican candidate the winner of a seat for Congress, but just by 6 votes out of nearly 400,000. Marionette Miller Meeks defeated Democrat Rita Hart in Iowa's 2nd District with 6,964 votes. Hart's 196,958. It is another pickup in Congress for Republicans, as the seat was previously held by a Democrat. I want to turn now overseas. Norway has outlawed hate speech against transgender people, including even in private conversations. The measure was passed by Parliament last week. Reuters reports the law carries a penalty of up to 3 years in jail for public remarks considered hate speech and up to a year in jail for remarks made in private. Legal scholar Jonathan Turley points out that could even include comments made in people's own homes. He warns the movement against free speech is also gaining strength in America, including in the Democratic Party. And he says if the U.S. imposes speech controls, it's going to be hard to go back. Coming up, the coronavirus outbreak has created all kinds of problems for people throughout the country, and it also led to many churches being closed down just when people need the church most. Even so, some ministries are finding ways to reach out to people in the community, and we're going to show you how when we come back.
If you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Welcome back to CBN News Watch. The coronavirus pandemic has upended lives all across America. And in a time when people need their churches the most, many have been labeled hotspots and shut down. So how are these ministries reaching out to their communities? CBN's Tara Mergener has the story.
Experience in helping people deal with tragedy and disaster allows the faith community to gain trust, reduce fear, and spread hope where it's needed most.
And religious gatherings are emerging as hotspots now.
As COVID restrictions ramp up again across the country,
we also put out new guidelines for places of worship.
Churches must remain creative.
How was that for you?
In the 20 years I've been ministering, so I just had to imagine that they were out there and try to ignore all the empty seats.
To ensure meaningful worship while encouraging hope and fellowship amid a relentless pandemic.
In that great solidarity, we too shall rise.
Still, we find our social and spiritual interactions limited, not by choice, but in many cases by law.
Church services have resumed here in New York City, but with limited capacity.
Since COVID first hit, we've seen how loneliness, fear, and stress can overwhelm.
The church is oftentimes where people turn first when they're in a crisis and looking for help. So that one of the immediate things that churches can do would be, to provide counseling or other types of support services.
It was like, hey, I believe that the Lord is calling us out of the boat, like Peter.
Ernest Clover of DC's Dream Center says following that divine direction means leaning on faith.
I don't know where the other side is. I don't know how bad this storm will get. Lord, we are grateful that we have this opportunity to come here today.
With the blessing of his team, Clover and the Dream Center have been supporting the community.
7 days a week, giving out non-essential items has been a drastic change.
How many? Just one cold, one hot.
Temporarily scrapping other community programs to focus on food.
And I get to work there on Saturdays in the open market when they distribute produce to everyone.
And other supplies to help those in need.
I help prepare the meals that go out every day since March 16th.
It fills the gaps. I would say due to the income that comes in for me right now, it's not a whole lot, but it does what it does.
We've had over 50,000 meals go out of that window in that little White House. We've had over 100,000 hygiene items and non-perishable food items go out of this Dream Center. And something I wouldn't even have the parameter to pray for, which was fresh produce.
And much like churches and ministries elsewhere,
because the structures of society have been so thoroughly rocked to their foundations.
People are coming to the center with a hunger for more than food.
Even when we're not giving out items, they just want to talk.
A basic need that for some is no longer easily met, which health experts say can have grave consequences. As the government and healthcare system deal with areas like testing, masks, and social distancing, Dr. Stephen Gersovich says ministries play an essential role addressing the unprecedented social isolation felt by so many.
Being able to offer people, the hope that we have in Jesus Christ, and being able to, to offer people, opportunities for connectedness. We as a church are uniquely positioned to be able to care for them and to offer encouragement and hope.
Experts say outreach during this holiday season could be more important than ever. Even before COVID, this time of year can be lonely and even depressing for some of your family and friends. In Washington, I'm Tara Mergener, CBN News.
Still ahead, we've just celebrated Thanksgiving, but the Pilgrims who gave us that holiday also brought far more to America. They even helped to shape our very system of government. We're going to have that story for you right after this.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy?
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times bestselling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain. Get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
The Pilgrims didn't just give America Thanksgiving celebrations. They believe religious freedom and liberty were worth dying for, while also making the Bible America's most read guide to life. As Paul Strand reports, the Pilgrims' covenant and form of self-rule would eventually shape America's Constitution and entire government.
2020 is the 400th anniversary of the founding of Plymouth. I think that's a huge milestone. It's a great milestone in human history.
Christian historian Jerry Newcomb's documentary, The Pilgrims, looks at how those 51 pilgrims not only survived their first Massachusetts winter, but went on to influence their future nation.
This small group casts a very large shadow.
From the documentary.
Did you know that today 10% of the population of the United States are Mayflower descendants? 30 million people from 51.
The Pilgrims founded America for all intents and purposes.
In those days, England demanded all citizens belong to the Church of England and conform to its beliefs or face harsh punishment.
You will worship as they say you worship. And so to do this illegally meant you could be arrested.
Or even put to death. So the Pilgrims fled.
They just wanted to worship Jesus in the purity of the gospel, and the king wouldn't let them do that. He was ruling it over their conscience. That's why they fled.
They'd come to believe in radical ideas they found in the Bible, like they had rights given by God, and that he wanted them to be free, to govern themselves from within.
The Mayflower was a cargo ship, but the most precious cargo that was carried across the Atlantic were the ideas in the hearts of the Pilgrims that were drawn from the Bible.
And after unexpected winds blew them off course away from any governing authority, they made a covenant between God and man for a new form of government.
The Pilgrims gave us the Mayflower Compact, which was an agreement for self-government under God, which was really the first step in the creation, ultimately, of the Declaration of Independence and of the U.S. Constitution.
It was a polarity change in world government. Instead of top-down, ruled by these kings that keep getting more and more powerful, it's bottom-up. It's the people themselves deciding what laws they're going to pass and agreeing to submit to them.
It made freedom the cornerstone of America, as shown by the words on the Liberty Bell.
It says, proclaim liberty throughout the land and to all the inhabitants thereof.
Some students are wrongly taught the Pilgrims stole from the Indians and treated them horribly. The record shows the opposite was true.
The Pilgrims were kind to the Indians. They showed them love. They showed them compassion. They showed them the godly way to live.
They did take some buried corn in cold New England, but only because they were literally starving.
And they even said, when they later came into contact with the Native Americans, they said, find out whose corn that is so we may repay them.
They didn't steal land in Plymouth. It had been abandoned by the Indians.
There was a plague that occurred 3 years before the voyage of the Mayflower, and it wiped out about 95% of the Indians in that particular region.
They wouldn't come back on it because of the plague. The Pilgrims took land nobody wanted.
And they showed the Indians they'd treat them as equals.
There was even a situation where a Pilgrim killed an Indian. The Pilgrim was put on trial.
The Indians expected
a mock trial, go through the motions, get it over with, let them go. After all they did was kill an Indian.
And that's not what happened. They found the Pilgrim guilty, and he was hanged for murder.
Everybody was equal under the law. Now the Indians could trust the Pilgrims.
The Pilgrims showed future Americans a God-blessed cause was something worth suffering for, even dying for. The Mayflower's Captain Jones offered to rescue them from the first deadly winter they faced.
Half their men have died. This is not what they signed up for at all. And Jones says, anybody who wants to come back to England with me, I will take them. Not one of them went.
The Pilgrims made living by the Bible and loving it a very American habit.
And their textbook was the Bible.
The Bible was the key book for the first 200 years.
The Founding Fathers brought America an enlightened revolution.
And above all, they quoted the Bible 4 times more than they quoted any human author.
It gave them the go-ahead to throw off Britain's ungodly tyranny.
They recognize that there is a higher law, the law of God, and that God presides over the affairs of nations.
You are to obey the lawful authorities, but if the lawful authorities take too much authority unto themselves and they violate God's laws, then obedience to God means resistance to tyrants.
So the Pilgrims who'd fled England for their freedom laid the foundations that shaped America and eventually its freedom. Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.
Coming up, a new Christmas album and book on how to live life from the Christian group Point of Grace, including a testimony from one member about how God reached out to her during a really difficult time in her life. You got the story when we come back. Stay with us.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm Ephraim Graham. Welcome to Studio 5.
Get on it.
All that's new and now in the world of uplifting entertainment with celebrity interviews.
There's a higher contribution I will make.
Musical performances.
I'll give you my best praise.
Plus movie and TV news.
See it and be uplifted.
On Studio 5. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern at cbn.com/Studio 5.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart. It has the power to influence weight loss, boost your immune system, and improve brain function.
We've seen an explosion of data on the role of the gut microbiome in health.
The free Build a Better Gut booklet reveals the latest information about the gut microbiome. You'll discover how your gut affects the rest of your health.
The gut microbiome has been linked to depression and cancer and heart disease.
Learn how to build a stronger, healthier gut.
The microbiome, if it's in good composition, are really protecting us all the time from more invasive things.
Get the Build a Better Gut booklet, free from the Christian Broadcasting Network. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut.
You need to make sure that your microbes are working with you, not against you.
And if you order online, you'll get immediate access to the Build a Better Gut series, a digital copy of the booklet, and related bonus material. Build a Better Gut today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut for your free copy.
The Grammy-nominated and Dove Award-winning trio Point of Grace is making the holiday season merry and bright with new Christmas music. It's called Point of Grace Christmas.
Jesus, our Savior, is born. Sing hallelujah.
As you see, the album features more than an hour of holiday harmonies and cheers and the voice of Michael Tate, Michael W. Smith, and more. But that is not the only thing from the trio. There's also a new book, How You Live, and one member tells CBN's The Prayer Link one chapter highlights how God showed her grace when she became pregnant as a teenager.
He pursued me, and he continued to bring his people of influence that demonstrated God's grace and his mercy and his forgiveness. And so this was something that I wanted to share with not only my community, but pass down to my children, the importance of whatever we've done in our lives, that does not have to define who we are. But if we have the opportunity to know who Christ is and really accept all of who he is and all of his grace, that we really can make a difference in the lives of our children and hopefully in the lives of those that we are in front of and have the opportunity to influence.
And there's more from Point of Grace this evening at 6:30 on the Prayer Link on the CBN News Channel. Time now for your Tuesday Tweetable on this first day of the very last month of 2020. It's certainly been a year to remember and a year many would like to forget, but I want to leave you with this thought to ponder and to post, tag, tweet, and share with those who follow you. We will finish 2020, and 2020 will not finish us. God is still God, and he is still better than good. With that word, make this a terrific Tuesday. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. I want to remind you, you can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel. In fact, you can find them there at any time. You can also find them online at cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. Email us at the address right there on your screen, newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, you can always reach out and touch us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Make it a great Tuesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow.